Welcome to Loan Officer Success Partner presents Rising Star, sponsored by Premier Lending. I'm Devin Dubuque, and each episode we're going to highlight a standout loan officer who's making an impact and shaping the future of the mortgage industry. Today, I'm super excited to introduce Dom Arias from Premier Lending. Dominic, welcome to the show, brother.
Devin, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here.
Man, I'm excited to have you here, and you've hit the ground running. You're doing some really amazing stuff out there, and it's always nice to be able to kind of take a step back and talk about people that are doing something a little on the extraordinary side, right? And I think that's you. So I know you're out there in Nebraska, but let's get to know you a little bit. So are you from Nebraska originally? Is that where you got your start?
No, actually, not at all. I was born and raised in California for most of my life. Lived
Cali
there up
kid
until, yep,
to
lived there on the beach.
Nebraska.
Yeah, yeah. Big move,
Wow.
yep. I was there till I was about 14 years old. Me and my family, my dad taught at a college out there, so just grew up there. And then at about 2016, right when I was about 14, we made the transition over to Nebraska.
Okay.
Big change, and I got to experience snow for the first time. But
You did.
yep, grew up in
Lots of it.
California. Yep, and then I went back there for college. So I make fun of people. I do call Nebraska my home,
Yeah.
but out of the 22 years of my life, I've lived in California for about 18.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're part beach, part Midwest, but super humble. Super humble, very approachable, and I think that's a big part of why you're doing so well with this is just your humble approach, but also your tenacity. So let's talk about this. So you went to school. You said where?
I went to a small Catholic college called Thomas Aquinas College.
Okay.
Yep, and
And
the degree is a liberal arts degree, so a non-elective program.
yeah,
The course is essentially set out before you. You just go and you do everything every other student does, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year.
there it is. So no real focus on mortgage.
Not at all, no.
Any activities when you were in school? Anything sports or committees?
Yeah, I
Anything
mean,
you were
I
doing out
played
there?
as many sports as I could get my hands on. A lot of it was just intramurals, but
Yeah,
I love sports. I love the competitiveness of it. I always just enjoyed competition. Basketball was my highlight. I love basketball.
yeah.
But yeah, I played everything I could get my hands on.
Well, you look like you're not that tall. So, short guys playing basketball these days?
Now I'm 6'7", so I was in the post.
Yeah, no, I know we're on video, and if you're listening to this thing, I got to tease the guy a little bit. So he towers over me. I thought I was tall at 6'4", and this guy, he one upped me one day, and I was like, oh, okay, challenge accepted. I don't think I could grow any taller though. So yeah, so tall guy, played competitive sports, and I think that's where a lot of the drive and determination comes from. But let's take that back a little bit further because there's something I know about you. Do you have any siblings growing up?
Yeah, I got about 13 siblings, so I'm the second oldest. So, I come from just a family where I was always, one of the role models. But yeah, I got eight brothers, five sisters.
Well, you got to do a lot to stand out when you're one of 13, right?
That's right.
So it makes sense why, you're the rising star here today, because at the end of the day, if you don't come from a big family, I don't, right? But if you don't, there's always competition in there, when you've got brothers and sisters, and you've got to be on your best, to show them the way, right? To be the brother that everybody wants to look up to.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely. And my older brother and I, he's the eldest in the family. We're about 11 months apart, so we're Irish twins. And I felt like everything we ever did in life was always a mini competition. It
Yeah.
was always who's going to get there first, who's going to do this first, because we were always doing the same classes together. But 100%, competition, but it was healthy. It was
Yeah.
healthy.
That's good. Well, and that's important. Healthy competition is important. And I think, that's one of the things that I see in your drive and why I wanted to spotlight you, is you are very competitive by nature, but you're a good sport,
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
you're a good sport. Some people aren't, and you're a good sport. So, you got in the industry, so you graduate college and I want to be mortgage.
No, actually, it didn't quite go that route. So how it worked out was so a little bit of background about my family. My dad was a teacher,
Hmm.
so I always grew up around him, being an educator. And one thing that I think stands out about my family is we always put an emphasis on generosity, whether that
Yeah.
was, through giving money to each other, to our friends, family, or just, devoting our time, in efforts to helping other
Yeah.
people out. So I think mixing that, generosity with, my dad being an educator,
Yeah.
helping people, and like, I know that's a really broad term, but genuinely helping people was something that I
Yeah.
was always attracted to. And I always wanted to, every interaction I had with someone, I always wanted to, essentially make their day better, create
Yeah.
an impact. And I think, for a long time, I was really wanting to go into public service, something in that realm. And so
Yep.
I also wanted to combo that with, sports and liking to be active. Um, so I wanted to go to become a first responder. I was thinking
Yeah.
about becoming a police officer, a firefighter. And then as I was going through college, got engaged and, was checking out that route. Real estate was always something in the back of my mind,
Yeah.
but it was on the back burner. Um, and probably about my senior year of college,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to fully pivot and go from, changing my eyes from being a first responder to going full-time real estate, and I didn't really know what a loan officer was at that point.
Yeah.
So what I did is I had taken pre-licensing to become an agent.
Okay.
Um, so what I did was right when I decided to go full time, and this is what I want to do as a career, I just went and I called everyone on my phone that I knew was in real estate. And
Mm.
several of them were agents, and one of my good friends, who I thought was an agent at the time, was actually a loan officer, and he
Yep.
pointed me in that direction, and I was sold. So
Well, let's give a shout out to him. He's a great guy and also a friend of mine, and it's how we ended up getting connected.
mhm.
But who was that person that kind of took you under the wing and said, "This is a pretty cool place. You might want to consider this
Yeah,
industry."
great family friend, goes by the name of Nick Delaparte. Great
Yeah.
guy, lives out in Florida, successful loan officer.
Yep.
But yeah, no, shout out to him for sure.
Why didn't you go with Nick? Why didn't you end up with Nick's team?
Well, he actually isn't in the industry full time anymore. So he
Yeah.
he used to be in the industry full time. Had a great career. He still has a hand in it because it is in some way a family business for his
Yeah.
family.
Yep.
But he transitioned off to become a Catholic monk. So he's kind of
Oh,
he
my man.
he's a monk running around with a bunch of money to his name, and from a loan officer. But no, great guy. I get on calls with him every once in a while, and he'll coach me through things, or he'll ask me how I'm doing. But definitely a role model to me for sure.
Yeah, well, leads with a spiritual heart and a spiritual mind, and that's one of the things I admired about Nick. And when he told me when he was transitioning to, I was super proud of that guy, for going that way. It was something he was always really focused on, and it was pretty special to hear that. And I remember he reached out and he said, "I've got somebody." I don't know if you're wanting to bring on somebody that's brand new to the industry, but I've known him for a long time, and that's how you and I got connected.
Yep.
So here we are, right?
Yeah.
You've got these positive influences, these positive role models. Your father, right, who's an educator and who always taught you and your siblings, that it's important to give back and it's important to be there for the communities. And then you've got great mentors like Nick, who said, "Hey, look, this might be an industry you can go into." And I love that you said first responder because we don't always think of finance as first response, but
Yeah. Yeah.
to be 100% with you, one of the things it takes in this industry, if you're doing it for the right reasons, is wanting to help people. And there's a lot of folks out there that don't know if they can qualify to be a homeowner or how to qualify to be a homeowner, how they can build generational wealth through home ownership. And if you get into this industry and you realize that's a big part of what we do, right? So it's not just about closing a loan and moving on. It's about building a relationship with families that are, wanting to become homeowners, and helping them find how they can do that, right? How can they own a home? And so I feel like, that first responder attitude is a big, it does work here because effectively, if we're doing this for the right reasons, we're doing it because we want to help people. We're doing
Yep.
it because we want to make an impact. And we can certainly do that, inside of our local communities. Your local community is Lincoln, Nebraska. You end up back to the Midwest, and you decide you want to get into the industry. So how did that work? You just you called me and you started closing loans day one because you had all these leads coming at you. Is that kind of how it went down?
No, not at all. So, yeah, as you said, for people that don't know me, I came into the industry with zero experience, right? Just graduated college. My wife and I, we just gotten married, and literally, had just gotten back from our honeymoon when I had just gotten licensed. So, that was, I think July of 2024.
Well, I think there's one more surprise in there too. So just out of college, just got married, and just got back from honeymoon. But what else happened?
Oh, we got pregnant, so we're expecting our first little
Yeah,
girl
baby on the
coming in,
way.
yeah, in March, so just in about a month. So super excited. So a lot of exciting things happening
Yeah,
in my life, but also just a lot of big changes. So, but yeah, so it was, it was a tall task in a lot of ways. I think a lot of people would have seen that like that, but for me, I think just being the competitor that I am, I really,
yeah,
I felt like I could do it, and so yeah,
absolutely.
I got into the industry thanks to you, Devin, and with your coaching and your guidance, was really able to do things that I think a lot of loan officers starting out weren't able to do.
Yeah.
So just bring tenacity to every day and make it more phone calls than most loan officers in the industry are making on a daily basis. Um, and yeah, just really hit the ground running, try to create as many relationships and make an impact in Lincoln,
That's
as
it.
soon as possible.
Well, tall task for a tall guy, so I think you're up to the challenge, you know. And as
Yeah.
you mentioned, you come from that competitive background, so you're willing to do what it takes to create success, and that's one of the things I admire about you. And sometimes people hear the word, phone call, and they're like, "Oh, that's a scary thing," right? Like I don't want to make a lot of phone calls, but you're not making phone calls just to make phone calls. You're making phone calls to build relationships. And that's a big part of what we teach here. It's a big part of what you do here, and you've done it masterfully. You really have. And just to give you a little bit of accreditation, this is a young kid that's come into this industry, and he's in a new marketplace. He's in an industry that's just getting started in, and he's been making anywhere from 50 to 100 outbound calls per day to set up coffee appointments with top tier agents, even though he is new to the industry. And 100%, you may not feel it, but I see it. A lot of confidence behind that. And he's going out and making these meet and greets. He's going to agencies. He's having coffee appointments every single week. And in addition to that, he's having success, right? So, here we sit. It's the end of January, literally the last day of January. And you mentioned you kind of jumped in July, but you were literally just learning how to use, the dialer systems and like how to you pull the data. But you've since closed or about to close a total of what, 4 loans? Is that what you told me in the green room?
Yes. Yep. Yep. About four
Yeah.
loans now. So,
So we talk August, September, October, November, December, January. So, about 4 loans, about a loan a month, is what you've seen. Was that all business that was just handed to you?
no, I mean, no, not at all. I mean, it was all self-generated, just going out, building relationships, building people's trust
Yeah.
ultimately, and then just, leaning on my team when times come up that I didn't know the answer to a question, but never
Mm.
making anything up, but always leaning into the team. And that's why I'm really grateful to be here because, you know, I am in a special spot and I feel like, I bring the tenacity, but also there's so many people to back me on this team that, they help me enable me to close the loans.
Let's talk about that. You mentioned team. A lot of the times loan officers don't look at it as a team. It's like, hey, it's me. I'm the president and owner of Me Corporation. And to some degree we are, right? But what's the benefit of having a team, in the beginning stages of becoming a loan originator?
Oh my gosh, that's a loaded question. So for me personally, I think my mindset coming into if you had talked to me 2 years ago and
Yeah.
told me, "Hey Dom, you're gonna go all commission," like that would scare me a lot.
Yeah.
And so my mindset is, I like taking risks, but I'm also a conservative guy at the same time. Um, so I never like to fly blind. I
Yeah.
don't like to reinvent the wheel. Um, and so it was really assuring to me to be in a place, in a community, on this team specifically, where you get the coaching you need, people behind you have the knowledge that worked with you on a day-to-day basis. There's fellow loan officers on the team that, have 15, 20 plus years of experience.
That's
There's
right.
processors, underwriters, and everyone here. And the best part about it is they're all willing to help. They all know where I came from. They all know what I need, and they're always there when I have a question for them. So, that's probably the biggest thing for me because that enables me to grow and never have to worry about, there's no question I can't answer.
So you've got a team there to support you with, giving you the artillery and the communication and the support to really know, hey, once I get a loan, what do I do with it, right? Like, it's great that I can go out and attract a lead, but how do I put this thing together? And you've got that. But let's talk about this too. Like, is there any type of a process that you use to create that success, right? Are you just making a bunch of blind phone calls, or do you have a process behind that?
No, yeah, we definitely have a process. We call it the daily success plan. So everyone on my team, we're all coached, as you know, Devin, by
Mhm.
you, but also by this outside entity called the Mortgage Marketing
Let's give them a
Animals.
shout out. Let's give them a
Yeah,
shout out. Carl
absolutely.
White, Steve Kyles, Frank Gray, Chris Johnstone, great group of people, right? Great group of folks.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so every day of the week essentially is devoted to certain themes. And I'm not going to go too detailed into it, but
No,
essentially,
that's a different
uh,
podcast.
right, 100%,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
But it really keeps everyone in line, making sure they're doing everything they need to do, making their outbound calls, doing that prospecting, communicating with the borrowers, keeping on top of those files. But it's so regimental and it's so disciplinary and time blocking of your day that you're always productive
Yeah.
and, you never leave anything to the wayside.
Well, and here's the thing, man, because I got to give you a lot of kudos because it's one thing to have the plan and know that it exists, but it's another thing to actually execute on it, right? And you mentioned the word disciplines, and you definitely have those. I mean, what I can tell you about Dominic is we both wake up every day and we go to a meeting called the Breakfast Club, and we're on there. Now, we recently started a new one with Redder. And we're on that one. So we go from one meeting to the next. And these are early meetings where we can't really make phone calls because it's a little early to start reaching out to clients and agents at 7 o'clock in the morning. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe if we're calling on the East Coast, right? But at the end, because we're central. But effectively, that's a discipline. Getting up every day and bumping in and listening to other like-minded, like-hearted people talking about success strategies. That's a commitment to this industry, and that's one of the reasons why I spotlight you. But then I take that a step further. We have a thing we call Call Stars where we
Hmm.
hop on at 9 o'clock in the morning. And when we jump onto Call Stars, it's all of the people from the team. We're swapping success stories there, but then we mute the phones. And as he mentioned, there's a daily success plan. And then we call the people that we're supposed to be calling, and we can see each other, on the screen making these outbound calls. And that supports us to go, okay, well, if my brother Bobby is making the calls, man, I'm not going to let Bobby down, right?
You're
Like, I
right.
better be making my calls too. And when we get done, at 10:55 and swap success stories, I better have some success stories to talk about, or maybe I got some losses to talk about.
Hmm.
But I can lean into my team for advice on how to, correct those problems. And we even had that just this morning. Bobby had popped on there and he's like, "Hey, I'm having this situation. Did anybody here know how to answer? Did he get some answers?"
Absolutely. Yeah, I think everyone about chimed in. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
that's an important note because as you said, Devin, you can have the discipline, you can have the plan,
Yeah.
but it takes more than you to help, rise you up to the level you want to be. It takes other people. So, it's a
Yeah.
group effort, I think, all around. So I'm holding other people accountable and people are holding me accountable as well. So when I fail, I'll be the first to admit that I have, I've made some
And you,
mistakes, but
yeah,
I
and
admit it.
you own
And
up.
then
You do.
yep, and then people will lift me up, and they'll kind of pull me out of that ditch that I was in. Um,
Well, it
but
takes
it's the
a
same way with me.
big,
So it's a
yeah,
huge encouragement, to be around a community where everyone is humble enough to help you, but also admit their
yeah.
failures, and also, is driven enough to, push you forward.
Yeah. Well, it takes a big man to admit those things, and at 6'7", you're that big man that can admit, when you've fallen off or done something that didn't hit the success points that you're looking for on that particular day. But that's the reason that you're closing loans, and that's the reason that you're having success. And I know. I see the momentum you're building. It's amazing. You just came back from a meeting with a great agent the other day, and what's insane is that out of all the people that you've called, 100 a day, right? You hadn't called this particular individual yet. Happened to be somebody that you knew, and they called you. Why did they call you?
Well, they saw my activity. That's really what it was. So they
Yeah,
saw my activity on social media, and they had known that I got into the industry, and I think he just loved my tenacity, and he called me up and was like, "Hey, we gotta work together. We gotta chat. See how
yeah,
I can help you, how you can help me." So yeah, we got together and ended up having being a really great conversation.
yeah. Well, that's again, so here's another reason why we're spotlighting Dominic, because not only is this gentleman waking up and doing all the right things and taking the time to study and working with all the team members and using the tools that he has in front of him, but he's also taking the time to, use days like what we call Freedom Friday to make content on social media, not because he's expecting to get business out of it, but because when agents look him up and they see the activity that he's doing online, they know that he's active in the community and that he's serious about this industry. And that's why I see really, really big things in your future, Dominic. And, as we've talked about, the money's nice, but that's not really what we're here for. We're here for the impact that we're going to make on the families and the communities. And that's what I love about you. That goes back to that whole dedication to becoming a first responder, your first earliest mentor, your dad saying, hey, we want to take care of people. That's what we're all about in this family, and you're getting to do that every single day and on such a high level. So, man, I am just super proud of you and what you've accomplished in such a short period of time. And I see your future, and it is bigger than 6'7". I can tell you that much right now. So, well, I'd love to keep you here all day, but as I know, you have places to be. Anything we should have talked about today that we didn't catch?
No, I mean, I think we covered a lot of great things. For me personally, I just want to, just say to anyone who's listening to this, whether or not you're an agent, or a future homeowner, or someone that wants to at least, have some insight into what it takes to become a homeowner, feel free to reach out to me. I'm open to talk about, anything to anyone at any time.
Yeah.
So, you'll have my number. It'll be dropped here in the bottom of this
What is it?
podcast,
Let's
but
say it. Read it off. What's the
my
number?
cell phone, you guys can give me my cell phone. It's 531-220-2408. That's my personal cell. Shoot me a text, give me a call anytime. I'd be happy to chat.
There it is, guys. And if you didn't have time to jot that down and you're watching, it just probably ran right across. Yep, there it was. And if you are listening in, just look in the comment section or the description section in the bottom of the podcast. We always make sure we put his contact information in there, and you're going to want to do that. And whether you're in Nebraska or I know you're in a couple other areas. Where else are you doing business?
Yeah, I'm in Iowa and California as well. But even, people listening from other states, just know that it's not just me. I'm part of a team. We're
Yeah.
licensed in, over 26
I
plus
think it's
states in the
36
US.
states. Yeah, 36 states.
36.
Most
There you go, even
most
more.
of the states. Yeah. So we've got most of you guys covered. If you have questions, and even if you call Dominic, he's going to get you to the right person on the team that can help you
Absolutely.
out in your particular area. And if you do call him, even if you're not in one of his licensed states, you can have a conversation with a really, really nice guy. It's going to leave you feeling really good, man. He's just a really great guy, man. So I've admired, getting an opportunity to work with you side by side and see, your beginning because, I can't wait to see, where you go with this, brother. And I can't wait to see that new baby that's coming to a hospital near you soon.
Right.
So most likely in Lincoln, Nebraska, right?
That's right. Follow me on social media if you want pictures of
What's
the
that
baby.
social channel? What's that social channel?
I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Just search my name, but on Instagram it's the Dom Arias. So they'll post it on
The
the.
Dom Arias. The Dom Arias. I like that. By the way, he likes Dom, not Dominic. So we got Dom Arias from Premier Lending. Hey, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show today. And man, I look forward to the follow up here in a few months where we talk about some of those big wins that you're having and
Let's do it.
becoming a new father. I'm sure that's going to be a a topic all on its own. Maybe a different podcast, right?
We'll see. We'll see. But I'll have gray hairs by then.
I've got you covered on that, brother. You can borrow some of mine. So, well, I'm Devin Dubuque, and this is your LO Spotlight feature by Premier Lending on the Loan Officer Success Partner. And man, we hope you like the content. We're going to keep bringing back great guests like Dominic here. And just showcasing, what could be done in this industry with a little tenacity and the right team behind it. So if you want to check us out, you can come find us at thedubuqueteam.com. All of our podcast info is there. You can find us at the Dubuque Team on Insta or YouTube or Facebook. I think TikTok somewhere in there, or you could find the Lawn Officer Success Partner podcast page on most of your podcast networks. If you're listening, you're probably already here. But if you're seeing one of these clips somewhere else, come find us. And if you want to be a guest on the show, comment, reach out. We'd love to have you on. If you'd like some specific content or have some questions about things, drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. So until the next time, we'll see you then.